Well, some Montana business stores will open come Monday with caution and safety measures in place. Governor Steve Bullock announced the statewide stay-at-home directive will expire Sunday. Then, over the coming weeks, churches, stores, restaurants, and schools can officially open their doors. While announcing the first phase of this gradual reopening plan, the governor praised the efforts of Montanans to flatten the curve. Per capita, the state has the lowest number of confirmed coronavirus cases in the nation. Still, it won't be business as usual for some time. The governor says Montanans must continue to protect each other, adding, once we open, we want to stay open. However, he also announced those traveling into the state must continue to quarantine for 14 days.
I recognize that our tourism industry is hurting. But as Montanans have worked so hard to stop the spread of this virus, this first phase of reopening isn't yet the time to allow others to come into our state. As I've said before, our new normal is going to look different.
The governor also mentioned each county's health officer has a say whether or not some of these establishments will open by the suggested dates. The Yellowstone County health officer will hold a press conference at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, to check out the governor's full reopening plan, head to your local MTN station website. Well, yesterday's announcement provided some hope for local restaurants. Local restaurants, bars, and casinos can reopen with restrictions on May 4th. They will only be able to offer 50% of their normal capacity. Casey Mitchell, Boston's restaurant and sports bar manager in Great Falls, says her team already has a plan in place.
We have been kind of planning over the last couple weeks just what we're going to do, because we knew that we would have to space everybody out. So we're going to block off some tables, keep everybody as far apart as possible with still maintaining, proper operations.
Now, employees will wipe down menus and use sanitizer on tables. They will also separate larger parties as much as possible. Well, self-employed individuals such as gig economy workers can now file unemployment claims. The new pandemic unemployment assistance, which follows under the CARES Act, was created to provide unemployment benefits to those originally not eligible. Now, claimant benefits are calculated based on self-employed individuals' net income or forms. They are also eligible for the additional $600 a week stimulus benefit payment. Those who qualify may be eligible to receive payments backdated to the week of March 15th, consistent with local or county restrictions, school closures, and stay-at-home directives. The Department of Labor and Industry says payments should be issued within 10 days of being approved for benefits.
And we've received numerous emails from people that are self-employed or independent contractors. And I'm just very happy that the CARES Act does provide this benefit.
Those without internet or have questions regarding the PUA can call the newly created PUA phone line at the number on your screen. Well, today Montana reports 3 new positive COVID-19 cases, 2 of those in Yellowstone County and 1 in Gallatin County. The total number of reported cases across the state has now reached 442. Now, the state says 306 of those have recovered. So far, 14 people have died. Well, it's now time to talk about something sunny and cheery. So let's head over to Ed McIntosh in the Weather Center to make us smile.
Well, we've got a lot of warm temperatures building in, Janelle. It's going to take a couple of days, but take a look as we start looking in towards next week. Temperatures look like they're really going to start to move up. Now, generally drier than average conditions, at least that slight risk, really no big influence as far as precipitation. So those spring showers, isolated thunderstorms could still pop up as we get into next week, the end of April and the early part of May. But check out the influence of this big high pressure ridge, warmer than average temperatures across the western portion of the country. In fact, the desert southwest, a 90% chance of warmer than average. For us, it could mean the warmest temperatures we've seen so far this year. Still some showers and thunderstorms to deal with in the short term. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Well, just like other school districts across Montana, the Butte School District is now mapping out a plan to reopen. Educators are working to come up with a proposal on whether they will continue teaching classes from home or reopen the schools after May 7th. The district superintendent will meet with school principals and teachers before coming up with a recommendation that will then need to be approved by the school board.
We're going to do a lot of table talk discussions and have plan A, B, C, and D. And really look this out, look it over, and make the best decisions. And really frankly, this is all about kids and what's best for kids.
The proposed plan will be made public to parents sometime next week before the school board votes on it. Well, there will not be spring sports for Montana's high school athletes. The Montana High School Association made that announcement shortly after Governor Bullock announced schools could open on May 7th yesterday. The MHSA executive director says that date is just too late in the year to start a season.
And there's still restrictions, your social distancing guidelines, which how are you going to do that? Sometimes like with track meets and the number of kids that are going to be there, not only just participating, but also as they get together, on the infield and all that. But softball, everybody's touching the ball, and then you have them in the dugouts. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you have to consider there, and there's still going to be restrictions. So it really would have been difficult.
Montana is one of the final states to cancel high school spring sports. Well, we can add Sudden Rush Espresso in Summers, Montana to the long list of businesses lending time and skills to help others during this pandemic. The owner tells us she's using her downtime to make and assemble washable, reusable cloth masks for essential care workers and her at-risk customers. Now, she admits she's not a super seamstress, but says when she heard about the need for masks, she brought her sewing machine to her shop and went to work. She says the process of assembling the mask doesn't take long and says the support from her customers has made it very manageable.
Everything pre-cut and steamed and ironed and everything at home, so I can pretty much just assemble here. My customers are bringing me fabric and material and thread and all the things that I need to keep going, so it's been great.
She says it takes her about 10 minutes to assemble each mask, and as of yesterday afternoon had completed and donated 130. Well, members of the House are gearing up for a vote on the nearly $500 billion coronavirus relief bill today. The Senate passed it by unanimous consent Tuesday. The bill provides $25 billion for COVID-19 testing, $75 billion for hospitals, and nearly $400 billion for small business relief. That will replenish the depleted paycheck program. Your Wi-Fi network might be getting a boost this week. The Federal Communications Commission is expected to open up a new frequency for Wi-Fi traffic. It has been nearly 2 decades since they've expanded the spectrum, and this new lane will be able to handle more traffic at higher speeds. Cable company Charter says it's seen daytime home Wi-Fi usage spike up 90% since the pandemic started. Well, we have more news ahead on your noon news, including why you might want to look to the sky for some entertainment in your backyard. The time now is 12:08, but first, Ed McIntosh is in next with your statewide weather forecast. Don't go away.
Storm Tracker weather forecast with meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
Welcome back to the Noon News. Temperatures, there's a bit of a contrast here as of midday. We've got a lot of 40s to low 50s across central and western Montana, but a lot of the temperatures have moved up into the 60s across the eastern plains of Montana, extending into northern Wyoming. But one thing is consistent. We've got clouds that come and go, showers that move in and out, higher elevation snow moving through the mountains of especially southwest Montana. This is going to move a lot into more of the higher elevations here down the Continental Divide, then also through the mountains of south central Montana and northern Wyoming. Winds have also increased where we're seeing some of the warmer temperatures. Breezy conditions across the eastern plains today. Billings sustained winds of 21, gusting up to 26. You can see some of those winds in northeastern Montana as well. Most of the sustained winds are under 20 miles per hour, but occasionally those stronger gusts start to mix in. So we got a little warmer, windier off towards the west or the east, and then less wind, but a little on the cool side across the eastern plains, at least cool compared to where we have been recently. The temperatures are actually around average for this time of the year. And this is a pretty typical spring weather pattern we have developing. Southwesterly flow across the region is bringing in those areas of snow showers and a few rain showers to go along with it. This is going to continue off and on throughout the day today. Now there's enough lift in the atmosphere, enough of that upward motion to create a few thunderstorms in the mix along the way as well, especially once we start getting into the later afternoon hours or early evening. So we'll watch this drag some of that cooler air through with these showers and the bit cooler air through this afternoon. Tonight, heading into tomorrow, we could see a little lull other than some of the higher elevation snow, but by tomorrow afternoon, we're back into mixing in a few of the showers, maybe not as active as today, but a few of these pop-up showers and thunderstorms will continue, and certainly some of that higher elevation snow. Some of the higher peaks, 7,000 feet and above, could be picking up 5 to 10 inches of new snow. Here we go into Saturday. High pressure area builds in. We start to see some warming. Now, there is another disturbance that comes on shore from the Pacific Northwest, but a lot of that energy looks like it's going to be lifted up and around our region. A few showers, perhaps, especially in western Montana, but for the most part, it's turning into a pretty nice weekend. A few streaks of showers. Notice where we see these stronger cells develop from time to time. That's where we can see some of those thunderstorms develop. And certainly with the low freezing levels, a little small hail would certainly not be out of the question with any of these evening thunderstorms. Temperatures overnight will be into the 30s to low 40s. We'll be looking at some clearing. Notice some showers kind of linger in the eastern plains. Tomorrow, we're back to those 50s and 60s, but again, another push of those showers moves across the region, particularly from around, say, lunchtime to the early evening, and then things get more settled as we start getting into tomorrow night. Here's how it looks for us over the next 3 days. Temperatures will be in the 50s. This should be 62 for a high here on Kalispell. 652. I guess we wouldn't have to worry about the rain showers. Temperatures overall will be above seasonal averages by the time we start getting into the weekend. A few isolated showers and thunderstorms over the course of the next several days. But we'll look at that chance of rain starting to quickly taper off as we start getting in towards the weekend. If we stay on the current path, and we showed you that at the top of the newscast, we could be looking at temperatures moving past these 60s into the 70s and possibly even some low 80s by the time we start getting to the end of next week. Janelle, there's a look at the weather. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Now, for some, this time at home has been stressful. For others, it's been relaxing. As Tanner Saul shows us, you can look to the sky for some entertainment.
While we all follow social distancing guidelines, with changing seasons, we can start to look forward to some visitors in our backyards. Early May through June is a busy time for migrant songbirds as they move in and out of our backyards looking for places to breed. I spoke with local bird expert Jim Brown, and together we compiled a list of the 10 most common species you can look forward to seeing right here in western Montana. To start off your backyard birding adventure, you may see the calliope hummingbird as it dances and hovers with its magenta rays bursting from the throats of the males. Catch flashy little sparrows known as the dark-eyed junco as they flit about around the bases of trees and shrubs. A black and white head, pale beak, and gray breast combine for a dashing look of the white-crowned sparrow. Look for the cedar waxwing with its accenting silky shining colors as it nibbles on fruits. Find the house wren with its effervescent voice and love for finding insects in your yard. Spot a chipping sparrow as their bright cap provides a splash of color roaming around looking for seeds. Locate an American goldfinch while the males exhibit a brilliant yellow and shiny black with a bit of white hopping around. A heavy-set finch, the evening grosbeak, adds a splash of color with a fierce eyebrow stripe on males. A flash of blue from a lazuli bunting may catch your eye as it belts out its squeaky and jumbling song from atop your garden. And finally, few combine brilliant color and easy viewing, quite like the yellow warbler. See if you can check them all off your list. Reporting from my backyard to yours, Tanner Saul, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Tanner. Now, Bitterroot Audubon in western Montana is doing weekly bird challenges to encourage people to both explore and stay close to home. You can check out its Facebook page, and everyone is welcome to join. Well, up next, your latest ag news with Russell Nimitz. Don't go away.
Report from the Montana Ag Network.
Hi everybody, it's time for your Farm and Ranch News. Well, the Montana Stock Growers Association and 22 other state cattlemen's associations, including the Wyoming Stock Growers, have signed a letter requesting an investigation of beef pricing margins by the Justice Department, which resulted from 2 recent extreme market shifts due to a packing plant fire last summer in Holcomb, Kansas, and of course more recently due to COVID-19. This week I talked with the Montana Stock Growers Association's president Fred Wacker about their request to have the cattle markets investigated.
Montana Stock Growers feels that we did the right thing. This is needed done for a good while. We're very interested in seeing that there is fairness in the market. It's very hard to watch the prices paid for fat cattle to to fall and slumber along, and we see the cutout values holding steady and in some instances rising. We believe that we need to take a look at how fight cattle are priced. And as long as we're going to do that, we think that it's time that the Department of Justice did an investigation and we find out exactly what the profits are and exactly what the packers are doing when they buy cattle.
And Fred says MSGA believes the Department of Justice is the appropriate agency to open an investigation and can also support the USDA in its investigation, allowing this process to be concluded in a timely manner. Well, stay with us, friends. We'll have more ag news right after this. Montana hemp growers have voted to establish a 1% checkoff for hemp, making Montana the first state in the nation to establish a hemp checkoff. Checkoff funds are used to fund activities related to research, market development, and education. Montana Department of Agriculture Director Ben Thomas says it's great to see Montana hemp growers' willingness to look towards the future, and they're excited to work together to move things along. Now, the department is also seeking qualified applicants to serve on the Montana Hemp Advisory Committee, and the committee is responsible for advising the Department of Agriculture on funding priorities as they relate to research, marketing, and education. The application deadline is May 15th. For more details, contact the Montana Department of Agriculture in Helena. And finally, it looks like producers signed a record 1.7 million contracts for USDA's agriculture risk coverage and price loss coverage programs for the 2019 crop year, which is more than 107% of the total contracts signed compared with the 5-year average. USDA also reminds producers that June 30th is the deadline to enroll in ARC and PLC for this year's crop year. FSA attributes the significant participation in last year's crop year ARC and PLC programs to increased producer interest in the programs under the new Farm Bill and to an increase in eligible farms because of the selling and buying of farms and new opportunities for beginning farmers and military veterans with farms having 10 or more fewer base acres. Enrollment for last year ended March 16th. Again, producers still have a lot of time, really through about the end of June, to get signed up for this year's crop year. As always, if you have any questions about this USDA Farm Service Agency program or certainly the countless others here of late, the best advice is to always contact your local Farm Service Agency office. And while we're on the topic, of course, USDA just recently announced that $19 billion COVID-19 relief package for America's farmers and ranchers and agribusiness professionals. And hopefully in the days and weeks to come, we'll be able to share more details about those programs and how you can get signed up for some of that $19 billion. In the meantime, though, that's a look at your farm and ranch news. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Russell. Some really good news for our farmers and ranchers out there. Ed, let's see that sun.
Okay, we got to wait. I know. Speaking of farmers and ranchers, we got showers out there and thunderstorms that are moving through the area, and that's going to be the story through the afternoon. A few mountain snow showers as well. That's going to kind of persist. Notice that we see some breaks in the clouds by the time we start getting into the evening hours. But as we take a look across the state, temperatures will trend warmer. Today is probably going to be the coolest overall. Tomorrow still a struggle, 50s, 60s across the region. But the weekend does start on that warming trend, and that sun you wish for, Janelle, it's lingering. It's going to last through the weekend and into next week.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ed. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow at noon.
Iron can really turn your hair green, so call 44 Water today to have an iron filter installed. Because it's not party time all the time. Call me for service and repair at a price that's fair.
Get the money, put it back.
Are we sure this is the best idea?
Do you have any idea what happens to people who launder money?
that?
Soy yo. Así soy yo.
Watch In the Dark, tonight at 8 on CW Montana.
We can see it. This day has never been closer. Today, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is leading the way to cancer cures. At LLS, beating cancer is in our blood.
The latest local updates tonight.
Plan tonight after Young Sheldon on CBS.
Welcome to the Talk at Home. Hello, it's Thursday, April 23rd, and welcome to the Talk at Home. Hey, ladies.
Morning.
Sharon, you're in a new room. I love it.
Same room. I just moved around a bit so that everyone could get a different view.
I love it. It's so much fun. Okay, we have a lot of stories today to talk about. First, Georgia says it will reopen gyms, hair salons, bowling alleys tomorrow, even though COVID-19 cases could still be on the rise. And how do Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski look nude in the locker room? The two men are telling the naked truth about each other. And new research says cooking is really sexy. Find out if any of us can cook. Then he's the star of CBS's Friday night hit, Magnum PI. We are so happy to have Jay Hernandez here with us today. And we're going to check in with a dear friend and award-winning journalist who's kept Southern California informed every step of the way in this crisis, CBS 2 Los Angeles news anchor, Pat Harvey. Okay, let's get started. Okay, Georgia is reopening its gyms, hair and nail salons, tattoo studios, and bowling alleys tomorrow. But workers and customers will still have to practice social distancing. Officials say the time is right, but many people are skeptical, including comedian George Wallace, who tweeted, literally hundreds of folks a day stick their fingers in shared bowling balls. I don't know if you could design a worse Corona era game. Maybe spin the bottle? Anyway, Georgia's governor admits that the number of COVID-19 cases could continue to rise, but he says the state is prepared to handle it. So do you think it's safe to reopen businesses like gyms and bowling alleys in Georgia, Sharon?
Well, I'm confused because on one hand, he said he still wants everybody to participate in social distancing. But how can you do that when you're massaging somebody, tattooing them, or doing a mani-pedicure? So it's all very confusing. I think it's insane. I think it's too early. And I just think it's craziness. I mean, somebody to go and get a massage now, it's craziness without being tested. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's a dangerous experiment and human lives are at stake here. I mean, I think we are going to gather information because once he does this, we'll see how it affects people that live in that state. Hopefully no one gets hurt, but I don't know. It doesn't sound good to me. I mean,
and when you be worried about the spike, when you be worried about it spiking up, so you open too soon, that's what Dr. Fauci is talking about. Don't go too soon. But I do understand people's need to get back to work and these mom and pop businesses and things like that. We just got to find another way to do it. But, you know, George Wallace, good friend, great comedian. I got another friend, Mike Washington. He travels with me, but he loves to bowl. And even he says it's too soon. And he lives in Maryland, right outside of DC. He says it's too soon. When you're bowling on a team, he said it's just too soon and it's not the right time to do this. I think we need to listen and just a little bit longer until we get it together.
Well, you said the right word too, Cheryl. Team. You cannot bowl by yourself. There is no social distancing in bowling. Like, that's just not gonna happen. I definitely, listen, we all want to get our hair done. We all want, listen, my toes and my hands are not nice, but I am willing to wait it out. We have to wait it out. I think mid-May is when they said, and we don't even know then, but right now, like tomorrow, no, I'd be so scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always stick, like
we had a big family and couldn't all go bowling, my dad would put cans in the street and give us baseballs. You can do that and throw it. But I feel like it's a little early for bowling and those types of things. Although I do understand hair salons because they wear gloves anyway and they can wear a mask and they're pretty much separated from each other. But I think the non-essential things, I know people are struggling, especially in those kinds of businesses. So I understand they don't want to lose their business.
It's a really good point about the masks and things. That's right. Because I heard that actually some of the nail workers and nail salons were actually donating their masks and their gloves to hospitals that were in need. So that's actually a really good point. I never thought of that. I mean, I guess everybody needs to remember that they still have a choice. Even if he opens it up, if you're not comfortable going and being that close to somebody, you don't have to go, you know? So I guess we still have our own choice. All right, let's move on. The world's top tennis player, Novak Djokovic, says he would be opposed to getting a coronavirus vaccine, even if it was required to compete around the world. He said in a live chat, quote, "I wouldn't want to be forced by someone to take a vaccine in order to be able to travel. But if a vaccine does become mandatory in the sport, he says he'll have to make a decision." So I guess the question is, if a coronavirus vaccine becomes available, do you think it should be made mandatory in order to return to work, Sharon?
Yes, I have to say that this, you know, when you just count up the lives worldwide that have been lost, I just think, you know, I know it's saying, well, years ago you had to have vaccines to travel, yada, yada, yada. Listen, I went to Africa about 8 years ago and I had every vaccine that was available to me. I had everything before I went. But it's, I just think, come on, like step up here. We want to stop this tragedy that has happened to the world, not just to us, to the world. And the way to do it is if the vaccine has been tested, it's safe, and then why not? Why not?
And see, Sharon, I think you're making an excellent point. The concern is how people feel about vaccines now, and why there are so many questions about what's in the vaccine. And I will tell you, for me, as a Black woman, you know, and Eve, you can co-sign on this, the Tuskegee experiment, when they did that to those Black men, did not give them the penicillin they needed, it caused a distrust of the government. And I just don't know what the side effects, somebody need to tell me what the side effects will be. How does it mix in existing medication that I'm taking? And then if you say I needed to come back to work and it's mandatory, what proof are you gonna ask me to bring? Because people lie. I know people that, I ain't gonna tell you who, but you know, they urine don't be the right urine. And then you go in and they be like, hey dude, you know you're having a baby, you know, because you done put it in the wrong. I'm just saying, they gotta work the kinks. They gotta work the kinks out. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying for other people, they want to know, what are you injecting me with? What is in this vaccine? Do it work? You know, I
know exactly what you're saying.
Because as I was looking through all of the research on it and, you know, people commenting, it was very divided because they said it's still a trial. And a lot of people are scared of vaccines, like you said. I think, you know, if you want to participate in the trial and do those kinds of things, but I think making it mandatory, I think that takes away freedom of choice. And I think that's what a lot of people are worried about.
Eve, was you trying to get in there? I'm sorry,
I was
baby.
just gonna say I feel the same. I just need all the information. I have a cousin who's about to become a nurse. Actually, I think in those professions it should definitely be mandatory. Anybody who's in the healthcare profession, and then for all of us, we just need the information.
Yeah. Right. Well, it looks like it'll be a long time before that vaccination comes, so we'll have plenty of time to ask all the questions. Okay, let's move on to Madonna. She's alarming fans with her quarantine diaries post on Instagram. From her infamous bathtub video, I don't know if you guys saw that, to her images of her at a typewriter being all dramatic, to another post talking about, this is really sad, losing 3 friends in one day. Many fear Madonna has lost her way. A colleague tells Page 6 that Madonna's former publicist would have prevented these awkward missteps for sure. But the source says, quote, no one around her today can tell her anything. That's why Madonna seems to be going so deep into the crazy right now. So the question is, how hard is it for you to hear other opinions about yourself? Well, okay, I'm going to start this one. So first of all, Madonna doesn't listen to anybody. It's sort of what makes Madonna Madonna. So I don't know why anybody's surprised that Madonna's doing Madonna's thing. But as far as like listening and hearing other people's opinion, I, as we know, I love to hear other people's opinion, especially when it's bad. Because, you know, I learned this as a dancer, but when you dance and you feel something and you think you look so good, but it's not until you look in the mirror and you get the feedback from the mirror that you actually really know what people are seeing. And I believe that in life, it's like, it's your output, but it's also other people's input and what they receive from what you're doing. So even like doing on the show and things like this, what we do is very public. It matters to me what other people think. Doesn't mean I'm going to listen or follow it or agree with it, but it's good to have the feedback so that you can kind of adjust, because I think it does matter how people receive you and how you're affecting others. What do you guys think?
Well, I think you making some good points, but I just want to know, how bad was the Instagram? Was it Teddy Riley battle #1 bad? How bad was it? Because, you know, Madonna old ass may not even understood what Instagram was. She in the bathtub, she got the soapy water, you know what I'm saying? When old people try to do the hip stuff, it don't come out the way it is. Right. It don't come out the way it is, you know what I'm saying? So if it's bad, I don't know. You know, nothing beats a failure but a try. Good try. But come on, girl. You Madonna, you the bomb. Stop acting like that. What y'all think?
You know what I think is bad and it's quirky. It just looks weird. It's weird. But she is who she is, like you said, Carrie Ann. Madonna is Madonna, and that she's always kind of done her own thing. So maybe this is something new she's trying. I don't know. It's just.
You know, when you say, do you listen to other people's opinions? I read an article when I had turned 50. It was a really interesting article how people don't really change much after 50. And it really kind of irritated me because I love trying to make myself a better person. And so I made it a point to really listen, but I think there's a lot of truth in that. It's like me or lump me. And I think a lot of people feel that way. This is what I am, but I do think it's good to take critique from people that you trust, not just hearing, oh, you're so fabulous, you're so fabulous. And maybe some of the people with Madonna, it's just not realistic in real people's lives. I mean, she has this fabulous life, and there are people really struggling right now. So maybe there's some of that with Madonna, but I do think people stop listening after 50, and I think it's a good habit to get into is always trying to listen to others. I agree with you, Carrie Ann.
But the thing is, Madonna was a self-made woman. She did it all by herself. Her image, she hustled, she banged on every door. It was her that got her where she is. And she was always on point. She was always before the curve. She was that cutting edge artist. But you can't always be that way. You have a time in life where you're so on point, but nobody has it for their entire life. It fades, and then other people have their turn. That's the way it goes. And I think she's so used to being on point that she can't accept that what she's doing looks a bit desperate.
Right, like she thinks she's setting a new path kind of thing, yes. Right, in her mind, because that's what she's always done. But yeah. I think it just feels a little bit unrelatable and a bit odd. But then again, maybe that is her new path. A little unrelatable and a little odd. I mean, I love her and I'm grateful to her for hiring me and giving me.
She's an amazing woman, but nobody is right 100% of their life. You can't be, it's impossible.
Yeah. And that's okay. We still love you, Madonna, even if you're acting a little cray-cray. That's all good. We get it. Everyone's going a little cray-cray at this moment, so it's okay. All right, the Talk at Home. We'll be right back.
We undeniable.
Smoking damaged my heart. Now I have a battery-operated heart pump. My tip is, stop thinking this can only happen when you get old. My heart failure happened at 38.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
It's best we stay apart for a bit, but you're not alone. We're automatically refunding our customers a portion of their personal auto premiums. Learn more at libertymutual.com/COVID-19.
Skin sin number 17. Never drinking water.
Neutrogena Bright Boost with dullness-fighting neoglucosamine boosts cell turnover by 10 times for instantly brighter skin. Bright Boost, Neutrogena.
Oh, Sarah, can you remind me to give Baxter his flea and tick treatment next week?
Instead of trying to remember the monthly flea and tick treatment, ask your vet for
Brevecto, the only one that lasts up to 12 weeks with just one tasty chew.
Do you remember where we parked the car?
Brevecto, only from your vet.
I've always loved seeing what's next. I'm still going for my best, even though I live with a higher risk of stroke due to AFib not caused by a heart valve problem. So if there's a better treatment than warfarin, I'll go for that. Eliquis. Eliquis is proven to reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, plus has significantly less major bleeding than warfarin. Eliquis is FDA approved and has both. What's next? Sharing my roots.
Don't stop taking Eliquis unless your doctor tells you to, as stopping increases your risk of having a stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. While taking Eliquis, you may bruise more easily, and it may take longer than usual for any bleeding to stop. Seek immediate medical care for sudden signs of bleeding, like unusual bruising. Eliquis may increase your bleeding risk if you take certain medicines. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures.
Eliquis, the #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner. Ask your doctor if Eliquis is what's next for you.
Alice loves the scent of Gain so much, she wished there was a way to make it last longer. Say hello to your fairy godmother, Alice, and long-lasting Gain scent beads, part of the irresistible scent collection from Gain.
Being a single working mom is hard enough.
Jacket is off!
But living with your broke relatives, that's a whole new level of messed up.
Oh my God!
I see they found the guest quarters.
A new Broke, tonight at 9:30, 8:30 Central on CBS.
Okay, you might want to use quarantine time to brush up on your cooking skills. It could land you a date when you're able to mingle again. Good, interesting information. New research found that 86% of Americans find cooking to be a total turn on. 71% called cooking their love language. And 2/3 say they would be more likely to go on a first date with somebody if they mentioned they're a good cook on their dating profile. What? So, what are the most romantic meals? Steak and potatoes, pasta and garlic bread, then chicken and vegetables. Okay, so do you think cooking sexy? And what did you have for dinner last night, Marie?
Marie. Do you know what? My husband threw his back out, so he was in bed. And I really, if you think cooking is sexy, that's great. I'm kind of over it. I used to cook a lot. I don't have the passion for it anymore. So my dinner last night was the same thing that I had for breakfast this morning. I had Cheerios and blueberries. That was
That's good.
Well, it's heart healthy. It's heart healthy.
I like it.
Breakfast is good for dinner. Yes.
Oh, yes.
I mean, come on, who can say no to that? It's good.
That's right. It's good.
What about you, Cheryl? What did you eat for dinner last night?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, listen, I had sauerkraut and sausage, like a cheddarwurst, but I'm over here cooking up a storm. Matter of fact, I think they have what I cook. So I have 2 breakfast sandwiches that I make. One of them is a sausage, egg, and cheese, grilled on rye bread. And the secret to that is the Irish butter. It pushes anything you grill. Irish butter is amazing. And then I have my version of a sausage egg McMuffin on there. And then I have a taste for some soul food. So I chicken fried some salmon, and I had greens and cornbread mixed together with a healthy garnish of hot sauce. Yeah, y'all have those pictures. I'm over here. Our pots is rattling over here. I'm by my damn self, but these pots is rattling over here.
I love it.
I have to tell you, this is what I had for dinner last night.
What is it? Chips?
Corn chips, and that's what's left. I had that and a glass of wine for dinner.
With you.
Oh my God, it's a great meal. It's very real. What about you, Eve? What'd you eat?
Last night I actually ate pretty good because but it was like a ready-made situation. We just put it in the oven, but it was very English, Mrs. O. It was a fish pie and a shepherd's pie.
Oh my God! With the shepherd's pie
and a little bit of wine.
Yeah,
like that's what we had.
What's up with those English people and making pies out of food that shouldn't be made pies out of?
They love the pie. They love the pie.
Okay, so First of all, I'm a little mad that cooking is sexy. What about dancing in the kitchen? Woo! Okay, just kidding. Okay, that should be sexy. Okay, so this is what I had for dinner. I still order food because I don't cook that well. But then again, here. So this is like this chef cooks, and then really healthy, and then I get the meat. It's good, right? The meat goes to the animals because they eat meat and I don't, and then but that list of the cooking when it said like just what is it? It was like simple foods like pasta with garlic bread. That I can do. I can do that. If that's sexy. I can
teach you how to make a mean pot roast.
Carrie Ann, with your body, all you got to do is boil water naked, and it's on and popping, girl. You ain't got to do all that, girl.
This study just bummed me out. Now I gotta feel like I gotta cook, and dancing doesn't mean anything.
No, you don't have to do all that, girl. You don't have to do all that.
Oh my God, look at my belly. That's because I've been eating a lot. Anyway, all right, we gotta go. Don't go away because we're gonna be back
Keep
back.
dancing.
Keep on dancing, right? We're gonna be right back with the star of Magnum PI, Jay Hernandez.
So I'm making this documentary about my family. There's a lot of us.
And these are our parents.
Let's go. I'm flossing, y'all.
You're such a bad mom.
I mean, we might argue amongst ourselves.
Great earrings. What are those, door knockers?
But if you come for our family,
Hi, babe. Hey, Mom. Look at that hair, purple.
you're gonna get that smoke. What were you saying about your tiny house with no electricity?
Wow.
I mean, they're like baby on baby drop.
Oh, Lord.
You may not see them, but your itchy eyes know they're out there. Thousands of allergens in each cubic yard of air. No wonder you rub your eyes hundreds of times a day. But now, relief is just one drop away. Introducing Pataday. Full prescription strength Pataday works right in your eyes, right on the cells that make them itch. Fast. Just one drop once a day means relief that lasts all day. So turn your day into a Pataday. Now get Pataday without a prescription. Everywhere.
What's up with Tammy?
She's in York mode, savoring dark chocolate and cool, refreshing peppermint.
Can someone hop on this call?
Me. And now introducing York Thins, the York you love, just thinner.
If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and a high risk for fracture, now might not be the best time to ask yourself, are my bones strong? Life's full of make or break moments. That's why it's so important to help reduce your risk of fracture with Prolia. Only Prolia is proven to help strengthen and protect bones from fracture with one shot every 6 months.
Do not take Prolia if you have low blood calcium, are pregnant, are allergic to it, or take Xgeva. Serious allergic reactions like low blood pressure, trouble breathing, throat tightness, face, lip, or tongue swelling, rash, itching, or hives have happened. Tell your doctor about dental problems, as severe jawbone problems may happen, or new or unusual pain in your hip, groin, or thigh, as unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred. Speak to your doctor before stopping, skipping, or delaying Prolia, as spine and other bone fractures have occurred. Prolia can cause serious side effects like low blood calcium, serious infections, which could need hospitalization, skin problems, and severe bone, joint, or muscle pain.
Are you ready? Ask your doctor how Prolia can help strengthen your bones.
Something great from Mr. Clean. Stop struggling to clean tough messes with sprays. Try Clean Freak. It has 3 times the cleaning power of the leading spray to dissolve kitchen grease on contact. And it's great for bathrooms. Just keep pumping the power nozzle to release a continuous burst of mist and make quick work of big jobs. It even works on stainless steel. It cuts through 100% of dirt, grease, and grime. Available with easy-to-swap refills. To get 3 times the cleaning power, try Clean Freak from Mr. Clean.
New Colgate Optic White Renewal removes 10 years of yellow stains. That's like all the way back to 2010.
Do the doggy!
Remove 10 years of yellow stains with new Colgate Optic White Renewal.
Welcome back to the Talk at Home. Our first guest brings the fun, fashion, and Ferrari to CBS every Friday night as the handsome and charming star of Magnum PI. Please welcome, hello, Jay Hernandez.
Everybody, where's the live studio audience? I'm waiting for the applause.
So Jay, it's good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Now you shoot the show in Hawaii, but you're back in LA right now. So who are you quarantining with right now? Other than I can see a part of a little doggy next to you.
Oh yeah, Penny. This is my little pup Penny right here. She's a little rescue, and she's she's very happy actually right now, because normally I don't let her on the couch, but right now she's on the couch with me. You want to say hi, Penny?
Oh.
So is it just the two of you?
It's the two of us right now. Yeah, I have a bunch of family, obviously, in town. I grew up in LA, so I have a lot of friends and family here. And it's been kind of interesting because we essentially have a small circle of people that follow the same protocols that we do. So we kind of know that we're safe and we're healthy and everyone's kind of keeping their distance and doing all that. But as as I say that, later on today, I'm going to my parents' house to deliver some dinner. So once again, trying to keep some contact, but you got to follow protocol. I don't kiss my mother anymore. Normally, I shake hands and hug and kiss and do all that kind of stuff. But obviously, I'm trying to keep everybody around me safe.
It's kind of an interesting thing to look at the perspective of everybody's different perspective. Is there anything good that you see coming from all of this?
I think, for the first time ever in my neighborhood, obviously I take Penny for walks and around town. And what I see for the first time is entire families, from the children to the grandparents, walking together on the street. And I think that's a really sweet thing that I just haven't seen. It's a way, it's so easy to be on a device or watching TV or doing something. But for the first time in a very long time, I've seen like just generations of people hanging out, whether it's the grandparents or the grandchildren. So I think that's really great. And another thing that I've seen people do is digging into their garages, and sort of cleaning out and realizing they have so much stuff that they don't need.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot that's going to come out of this. There's also going to be a lot of data in terms of, I don't know if you guys looked around LA right now. The sky is as clear and blue and beautiful as I've seen it in some time. That's got to tell people, like, sometimes you can look up in the world around you and say, there's nothing I can really do about the state of things. And that's not true. Like big cities around the world you can see the sky for the first time in a long time.
That's right.
So it's interesting. We have to find things to take out of this, some sort of positive repercussions. It's not going to be all bad. I think we're going to learn a lot from this whole experience.
Absolutely. And let's talk about Magnum PI go. So Magnum and Higgins have become business partners, but they still like to insult each other. So are you guys like that off camera as well? Do y'all like rag on each other?
It's a constant thing. It's nonstop, basically. What I've come to understand is that our on-screen relationship is very much like our off-screen relationship. So much so that I believe the writers sit there and just listen to us in our set chairs and write scenes as a result of listening to what we're talking about on set, because we're constantly trying to sort of one up each other and always be right. I don't know if it's the art is imitating life or life is imitating art at this point, but that is definitely our dynamic. And she's a lot of fun and she keeps me on my toes and vice versa. So we have a really good time.
I love that. Now, I need to ask you about this beautiful Ferrari. How fun is it to drive that car? And do you ever get nervous behind the wheel?
I never get nervous. I think I was like born to drive fast cars. I love doing it. It's funny, on the pilot episode, everything's new and we're trying to sort of figure things out. But they let me do some stuff that was definitely not safe. And as the season progressed, I think they realized that, sometimes things got a little dangerous, perhaps. And then they wouldn't let me drive the car. And as we reached the end of season 2, then they realized, well, he has the capacity to drive the car. He's safe. He knows what he's doing. So then they started trusting me more. And then they let me do a little more of the sort of stunty type things. But personally, I love it. Like, I have a really great time driving the car.
Oh, fans in Hawaii, I'm sure they've totally embraced you as Magnum, obviously. So are you feeling good with all the locals and all the local love and the kama'ainas in Hawaii?
I love Hawaii. It's a place that I never thought, I never imagined that I would be there. And now that I'm there, it's, I miss LA. I'm in Hawaii 8 months out of the year. And I'm now in LA, which is great, but I find myself yearning for the island in a weird way. That aloha spirit is something real. I feel like everybody watches the show there because I don't even think they know my name anymore. I'm Magnum to them, which is kind of funny, kind of great. I mean, there's a lot of people that travel from all around the world, from all around the country, and I'll get kids and grandparents and fans of like really all ages, which is kind of great because in a time like this when people are sort of stuck at home. It's one of those things where you can turn the show on and watch it with your entire family and not have anybody, get embarrassed or have to walk away because a certain scene is on. I mean, I think it's like kind of the perfect fare for an entire family.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm sending you aloha from all the people from Hawaii right now. And Jay Hernandez, thank you so much for being here. Magnum PI airs Friday nights at 9 right here on CBS. Up next,
thank you guys.
Oh, thank you. So great to have you. Up next, The Talk at Home checks in on an award-winning journalist and one of our favorite people, Pat Harvey. So don't go away. Thanks, Jay. It's good to see you.
Good to see you always.
Bye.
Wow, that's Ensure Max Protein with high protein and 1 gram sugar.
It's a sit-up, banana. Bend at the waist. I'm trying.
Keep it up. You'll get there.
Whoa!
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein.
I didn't have to shout out for help.
Because you didn't have another DVT. Not today. One blood clot put you at risk of having another. So we chose Xarelto to help keep you protected.
Xarelto is proven to treat and reduce the risk of DVT or PE blood clots from happening again. Almost 98% of people did not have another DVT or PE. Don't stop taking Xarelto without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of blood clots. While taking, a spinal injection increases the risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. You may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. Xarelto can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. It may increase your risk of bleeding if you take certain medicines. Get help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising. Do not take Xarelto if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. Before starting, tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures and any kidney or liver problems. Help protect yourself from another DVT or PE. Ask your doctor about Xarelto. To learn more about cost and how Janssen can help, visit Xarelto.com.
Cats will do anything for the irresistible taste of Temptations treats.
What are you doing?
Oh, hey, check this out. Temptations. All it takes is a shake.
With the wave of a hand, stains appear like a dirty trick, but clean can't be conjured. Magic happens because you make it happen. The real trick is the next one up your sleeve. You make stains disappear, show trapped odors the door. Whoa, do that again. No secrets, no illusions. We make OxyClean. You make it work. Work your magic.
In this world where people are staying at home, many of life's moments are being put on hold. At Carvana, we understand that for some, getting a car just can't wait. That's why the new way to buy and sell a car is also the safer way. At Carvana, you can do it all 100% online from home, with a touchless delivery and pickup process to keep you safe. And for even greater peace of mind, all Carvana cars come with a 7-day return policy. Shop now and get up to 90 days to make your first payment. Check out Carvana, the safer way to buy a car.
Disapproval of Trump is spreading faster than something. Whatever spreads really quickly if you're dumb enough to ignore it.
Colbert's New From Home, tonight on CBS.
Young Sheldon, tonight at 8/7 Central on CBS.
Get the money, put it back.
Are we sure this is the best idea?
Do you have any idea what happens to people who launder money? What was that?
Watch in the Dark, tonight at 8 on CW Montana.
China lied about the coronavirus, putting the jobs and health of Montanans at risk. Now America is dangerously dependent on China for life-saving drugs. Senator Steve Daines is holding China accountable. Daines is leading efforts to break our dependence on China, bringing drug manufacturing jobs back to the United States, and speeding up development of coronavirus vaccines made in America. Steve Daines, Strong leadership we can trust.
I'm Steve Daines, and I approve this message. Play Eric Amarola's Race Day Mix.
The latest at krtv.com.
Welcome back. Our Talk Check-In segment is catching up with another dear friend of the show today. Our next guest has been on air through this pandemic, providing vital information to Southern Californians, and we're thrilled to be joined by CBS 2 Los Angeles news anchor, our dear friend, Pat Harvey. Hi, Pat.
Hi,
Welcome.
ladies.
Hi.
So good to see you. This Zoom conference.
It's so good to see you where we can talk to you where you're not doing the news.
Yes, Mrs. O.
So you're well?
Yes, thankfully, we are all doing well, obviously taking precautions, but really trying to stay healthy and get through this just like everybody else, Mrs. O.
What's it like reading the news in these unprecedented times? Like to deliver the news every single day when it's been so sad?
You know, I think, Mrs. O, over the years, how long I've been working and how many disasters, crises, wars that I've talked about, that I've covered, but this is something different. And I think because it has lasted as long as it has, it affects all of us. I mean, really globally, all over the world. But I am certainly not immune to this like everyone else. So with this, and plus there's so much uncertainty still, it's just very daunting every day, because I have to talk about how many people are sick. I have to talk about how many people have died, and that's not pleasant at all. And there's always a new number every day. And for that point, yes, it makes me very sad. But at the same time, I know how important it is to give crucial, viable information right now.
Absolutely. And Pat, so much of the coronavirus information you deliver is difficult to hear, but there's been an incredible amount of inspirational stories. So what feel-good story has meant the most to you?
You know, there's a couple in Newport Beach, Cheryl, an elderly couple, both tested positive, both had to go to the hospital, both had to be on ventilators, but they came out.
Amen.
And to see them come out of that hospital together, alive, and so grateful, those are the kind of stories that give me hope and inspiration. And there have been a number, even talking about stories from different parts of the country, seeing people come through this and survive. And I think more and more, those are the kinds of stories that we should show people, because with all of the terrible news, there are survivor stories. And besides the healthcare workers, you can't help but be inspired by them. They run to this death crisis as opposed to running from it. And that just means a lot. That gives me hope too, Cheryl. I look at everybody else, all of our first responders and volunteers. Volunteers. I can go to the grocery store and feel happy just to be there. And I always thank the people that are waiting on me that show up, because they're doing it for us. And that's just amazing to me. Heroes has a new definition, right, ladies?
Right. That's right. And now, speaking of inspirational stories of sorts, last month you stepped in as anchor for the CBS News in New York. How did that come about? How did that all happen?
Well, you know, our sister station in New York, they had to clear the building, and all of a sudden they were faced with, well, how do we give news? How do we get on the air with our viewers? So they contacted us in Los Angeles, and through our technical staff, and I can't go verse by verse what they did. It was pretty short of amazing. We were able to have me on the air in New York City, but I tossed to reporters in New York, I tossed to the weather anchor in New York, and all the stories were about New York. So they were able to, the producers, the writers, the editors were able to coordinate back with our headquarters in Los Angeles to get their stories on the air. And again, the technical staff was just amazing, and we were able to get it done. I have never seen anything like that done before. So we're all in the CBS family, right? So I wanted to say, we're not patting ourselves on the back, but you know what? We can. We can.
Yes, I mean, CBS has been incredible through this whole thing. But Pat, I was wondering, what do you think it's going to take to get through this pandemic? And I'm going to sneeze and come out on the other side. Woo!
Okay, bless you.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm going to quote, I interviewed Rick Caruso yesterday. He was one of the 80 appointees on President Trump's economic task force. And he just happens to be based here in Los Angeles.
Right.
He said, you know, it will take a methodical rollout based on data and science in terms of, bless you, Marie, in terms of businesses. That's okay. In terms of businesses reopening and things that we're just, you know, used to going back to. Obviously, testing. We're going to need more testing because we just found out yesterday as well that there's this new antibody test. It can tell if you have been infected by the virus or are infected by the virus. You may not show any symptoms. And the more information they get that way, the more we'll be able to answer who is immune, who's not, if we can have herd immunity. So I think, according to him, even still practicing physical distancing, that's going to be key to getting us back on track. But it's still going to be slow, and we will still live life as we've never lived before. I think even when they relax some of the restrictions, we'll still have to wear masks, for example, and still not be able to gather in large groups, as we know with the sporting events and the concerts and all of that. So I don't want to go out on a limb, but quoting from what our scientists and experts have said, maybe in the next couple of weeks for the bigger cities, they want to see a decline in hospitalizations of 14 days, a decline in cases of 14 days straight, and then they can make some better decisions about when we can get back to the new normal.
A new normal, right? There's definitely a new normal.
Yeah, can't say normal. Normal.
It's going to be a new normal. So Pat, real quick on a lighter note before we go to break, we just want to know who's been keeping you busy over there and what have you been doing in your free time?
Well, I want you to meet my granddaughters. Yes. They have been with us, and I tell you, they take my mind off of so many things. This is Emiko. Emiko is 3, and this is Kaya. We walk, we swim. I can tell you just about every episode on Paw Patrol, if you know what I mean. And Kaya lost her tooth over the weekend.
Wow.
So they've been here, and it's been a joy because, again, you really have to get into the love of children. They understand what's going on. They always ask, Grandma Pat, you're going to work today? You have to talk about that coronavirus. And I said, yes, I do.